To this just in. Episode today is going to be about video games. I'm super excited, but before we get into it, just a reminder, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, any of the social media. We're trying to post stuff as much as possible on those and trying to keep episodes updated every week. Justin, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Always good to be here. Always good.
Excited. So video games is the topic today. Do you know anything about it?
So, not as much as maybe others. Of course, I grew up in the Nintendo era, and I mean regular Nintendo, Mario, classic Mario, way before Mario Kart, all of that. Then I had a Sega. I may have had a Nintendo 64, but I never really truly would be what I would call a gamer. We'll talk about a little bit later, I have a son that I would consider a gamer, and he's playing some of the different things, but he is really enjoying when the first Switch came out, and we'll talk about the other Switch later. So, yeah, I mean, I have an understanding of games, but...
What's he playing right now? Switch 2?
So, Switch 2, he wishes he was playing. He cannot get his hands on the Switch 2 right now. He has a Switch 1, and then he has his PlayStation, and he uses that a lot. But Switch 2, we have not been able to get our hands on yet.
Switch 2 was tough. I mean, I think I told you the story. I'll tell it for the viewers here, but I finally decided to wait late. Normally, I'm the guy that says, hey, it's up on the website at midnight. I'm going to order it, done. It'll just ship to my house. I missed that. I suck. I was mad. Then we decided maybe we won't get one. Then we decided, nope, we're going to get one. So then it was a decision to kind of go back and try to figure that piece out and how do we do that. And I basically had to fly in, get off the plane, drive straight to a GameStop, stood in line for, I don't know, about an hour there probably. I was like 120th in line, barely got one. Then had to go back that night, stay in line for 2 more hours to get it. I think I got home at like 2 in the morning. So that was an interesting piece of trying to do it. And I keep seeing people post saying, oh,
Yeah, there's just not. So I know that for a lot of facts. So again, on behalf of my son, who has been trying to get it from pre-order. He has been looking online himself, and our closest GameStop is like 50 minutes from us, and it's sold out of our Walmart right away. It is not readily available for all kinds of folks. So the other day, literally this week, I called a GameStop about 50 miles or about 50 minutes away from us, and they had 2, and I'm like, I'm on my way. Of course, they couldn't hold them. I don't blame them. They can't hold them. And I got there, and they had just sold the last one right as I was walking in. And so it's been hard to get it. It was awful. I
keep looking for you too. Like, I keep thinking they're going to release one at like,
yeah.
And they released them like in the middle of the day. Like the other day it was like 3 o'clock. By the time I checked at 3:05 there.
Yep.
It's been hard to find those. And it's funny, I mean, I remember back in the PS2, maybe PS3 days, same things happened. Grandma worked at Walmart, though, at the time, so I had an inside hookup, so she knew when they were coming.
Nice.
Hey, come buy this right now.
And I think there's another round that's dropping at Walmart next Thursday, if I'm understanding correctly, across the country. So then I heard, did you hear about this? Out in Oklahoma, I think, there was a truck full, there was 3,000 that were stolen.
I did. And it's been really hard to get rid of them. I've only seen.
Well, I just want one. That's it.
What I can do. Price right now.
That's a little higher, but all right. But did you play games growing up? I mean, outside of Nintendo, or was that your?
Nintendo was my first system.
Yep.
Which was an NES. Yeah, exactly. You weren't supposed to do that. You're actually crazy.
I heard, but man, we all did it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I remember playing it at my cousin's house, and they had it, and there was like 8 of us.
Yes.
Trying to play, and I'm a young one, so like I'm fighting the best as I can to play Mario. It was
Mario World. I had 3 favorite games: Mario World, Duck Hunt, and Donkey Kong. I did have the guns for Duck Hunt.
Yeah, I like Donkey Kong too. But as my game group has, I guess, progressed, I ended up starting to like some other games too. And some of my favorites, even today, I think I have a picture of one, which Mike Tyson Punch-Out.
Oh, yeah. I actually liked Punch-Out too.
I liked RBI Baseball. That was another one. I think it was like RBI Baseball 93 or something like that. 94. I don't know what the number was. But I love sporting games. That was my favorite. After Mario, that was probably my favorite stuff. But like some of the systems I had an NES, Super Nintendo. I never had a GameCube.
Neither did I.
Before either. I had some other weird systems, like I had a Sega Genesis.
I did.
It was great. But I had a Sega, it was called Sega CD. Not very many people know what it is, but it was like a big CD disc that I played. It wasn't around very long. Maybe they made 50 games for it. I had not last very long at all. But I think really when PlayStation came out, that was like my first love. NCAA football has always been my favorite. That used to be our Friday night before we went out and did anything as a group of friends, me and one of my buddies. Always played. I beat him like 99% of the time, but every once in a while he would pull one off, and he would be excited for the rest of the night.
So I said at the beginning of the show, I had a similar, progression. I did start with just a regular Nintendo, and I think I had, I said 64, I think it was a Super Nintendo and then a Sega, but that's where it stopped for me. I never got a PlayStation. I never went any further. My son has how high is it now? Where a PS what? Okay. Believe he has the 4 or the 5.
The 5's white typically.
His is black.
The 4 is black.
Okay. Yeah, that's it then. So, and he likes sporting games as well, but he does something else. And I don't know if your kids do this or if you ever did this. It seems to be a new thing. He watches people play games.
Yeah, I definitely don't do that, but my kids do, and I don't understand.
I don't get it.
Because when I was at my friend's house and I had to watch until it was my
It was awful.
awful, I would go find something else to do.
So that's something new in the gaming world from our time. As I said, I enjoyed a few of those things. I'm glad you brought up Punch Out. I remember that one. I did play a little Mortal Kombat as well. A little,
I did too.
yeah, a little.
Street Fighter, when did that?
I did not play Street Fighter, and
It's still out. Like Nintendo Switch just came out with a.
sure. Well, I like Mario Kart. Mario Party's pretty fun too. When we go back to that Nintendo premise, the other thing that you mentioned that you like the sports games. My son does. He'll build his team. He'll do all of that stuff, both college and NFL football, especially. But he'll play basketball. He'll do all those. I didn't get into that either. So this is why. Now, I wish I could tell you, Justin, that it was because I was outside playing those games, but I can't tell you that wasn't the reason. So I didn't enjoy them virtually, and I didn't necessarily enjoy them, playing them physically either.
Bring that up though. I remember, growing up in the summer, if you wanted to play video games,
Yeah.
where those were for when the weather was bad. If not, you better be outside. And listen, we ran all day. 10 a.m. was like the rule. I don't think I houses before 10. Pull up and say, let's go. And then, we were gone until dinner.
So-
Gone again.
So same. I remember that. I remember those days, and it would be sometimes the same neighbor, sometimes it would be a lot of neighbors, and we would just get on our bikes and we would be gone all day long.
Yeah, I love that. Now getting our kids to do that, it's a different story. And actually, it's a different world, too. And I love that. I don't know why fully, but, if my kids are outside, we're typically outside with them. I remember not seeing my parents for, 12.
Yes, and you know what? We did that without cell phones. We did that without pagers. We did that without beepers. A lot of times we'd be at our friend's house and they had a hose out back. That's how we would get our water. So anyway, gaming has definitely, though, transitioned a lot from outside and systems and graphics and sounds and all of that stuff. What are some of the popular things? Because your kids are a little bit younger than mine. So as I said, my son is 19. He still enjoys it. But what are they playing now? What is it different than a system?
Yeah, so I think the shift happened probably when iPad became a little bit different or more popular. Because if you remember, when phones became smartphones, and I'm sure Apple, well, Samsung was doing it too, but then they ended up creating their stores, right? And it opened up this world to, you don't need a system to play a game. You can play a game on your phone, on your iPad, on the internet, whatever. You don't even need a system to do it. So,
Yep.
$500 systems, that kind of changed a little bit because these other games become popular. And I think, then it's grown. So I think at first it was just simple games became popular, but now it's, the Roblox, Minecraft.
Call of Duty, I hear of that.
That's out too. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but that's another big one. And a lot of them are first world player games, right? You're running around doing whatever. You're gathering stuff. So it's basically like they took Zelda, real life players.
Yeah.
Now that's the thing, and they go around and create worlds, fighting
And watch each other do it.
things, and a lot of them stream.
Yep.
Twitch, I think it's Twitch, and it's crazy to me that People want to watch other people do that, but that's what they want to do, and my kids will try to get me to watch them, and I don't want to do that. I want to play the video game. So that ends up being hard. But, you asked what kind of games. I transitioned to sports. I love sports games. For example, I bought a PS5. I bought one game for it so far. It's been 8 months, 10 months, and that game was NCAA football because that's what I like to play. My kids keep saying, "Are you going to buy another game?" And I said, "What for? This is the game I like. This is the game I'm going to play." The next one I buy is when it comes out in 26, probably. I like Madden. I like those games too, but I never was a big fan of like Zelda was fine, like I played it.
Yep.
But I was never a big fan of those games. I think Sonic was a big game for me. It's funny.
Sega.
Yeah, exactly. It's super popular again with Sonic and the Sonic movies and the franchise. But back then, it was dedicated to Sega, and that was probably what I call a create a character or have a character and go and find stuff and do missions and worlds and stuff. Zelda and those type of games are probably more like, you might play days on a world, right? I guess
I couldn't do it.
completed in as quick as time as possible.
I couldn't do it. So yeah, I think that transition that you mentioned is exactly right. As cell phones came out, as cell phones were doing that, and even at that, my family has tried. We fly a lot. We've talked about that in another episode, and there's lots of games that are downloadable and easy to do, but I don't even get into that. When Candy Crush is huge, I think Candy Crush might still be huge. Yeah, I just couldn't get into that. I couldn't understand the crushing of candy. My wife enjoys Candy Crush, and she uses and still does that from time to time. So I'm actually pretty good at Tetris. That's the one that I'm actually really good at, and it's carried over into life skills.
Truck is Tetris.
It's a hidden skill. I can't believe you just let me talk about this. People will use my hidden talent there, and I tell them that I'm really good at packing a truck, and they're like, yeah, we'll see. I am telling you, I can get more in a truck than you get. And yeah, maybe you're listening, you're like, all right, well, we might use that. I'm really, really good at it. So Tetris I liked, but even today when I play Tetris, I just can't get into that long time playing a game.
Let's go with that. Well, I despised that game. I thought it was boring. It was like one of the only games on a computer when I didn't have the internet. And I thought, this game sucks. Like, I don't want to play it. I find myself, I won't tell you the full details of where I play it, but I play it right now. And it is like a mind trick to see how fast I can do it.
Yep.
And how quick I can get it done. And when I can't complete it and have to restart, I get really frustrated.
So you mentioned board games. You mentioned my house. Yeah, there are people in my house, my wife and my son, they love all gaming. So I talked about my son and his, gaming, and he definitely is a gamer. I think he would also qualify and tell himself that, but he loves sitting around and playing games with people, having the interaction, having the face-to-face. I got to mention this really quick before I go into your solitaire, and that is for all of those that are listening and that know me, I play games socially, and I am not as disciplined to play the games when it's just my family, because we know each other and we know what to do to keep the game moving. So it becomes boring to me because we're gonna just give in, and we're just gonna either, or if we're like wanting to be a little bit difficult, we're gonna be a little difficult with our family, and so I can't even get into it there. Except for I always do enjoy a good game of Battleship from time to time.
We got these little games for Christmas, I think, one year, and they have like dual player games. They're all dual, so you have to have a person, and that's what we play Battleship quite a bit. I really like Yahtzee.
So loud. It's so loud. Euchre's fun. Euchre's good.
I was raised by grandparents, so you name it, it was something old, like going to senior citizens center for dinner. That was us. We were doing those things. So the best games though were that back in the day. I can remember Candyland.
Oh, yeah, definitely. My kids grew up on it. Yeah, everyone has Monopoly, Scrabble.
And it would go to all-out war. It'd be an entire weekend. And I forget what it was called, but it was like war. You pick the country and you want to get some.
Oh, Risk.
I'll think of it in a minute here. But we'll have him tell some of the stories, or have someone tell some of the stories about just, how much all outright blows people have.
All right, talking about two modern games today, board games. I know we went away from gaming systems for a minute, but there's a game, Catan. A lot of people are into Catan. My family likes Catan. I can play that one from time to time. No, it's not a casino. There's no betting in Catan. I am 100% sure. I'm 100% sure. And the other one that a lot of people play, and I've not played it, but Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I think there's someone we work with that plays it. They actually
Yeah.
really
get dressed up characters and do all kinds of stuff, right?
Go crazy. I think his oldest owned a bar that does it. The only time I've seen Dungeons and Dragons be played is on The Big Bang Theory, I think. But to each their own. That's exactly the opposite of the games I like, of this whole hunt, fetch, go do things. I just don't enjoy it. So I can understand why the people that do would love it.
Sure.
Guess what? You're bringing the board game to life then. And, you know, it's a big thing with your friends.
Sure. And sometimes that can be both on that video game that we've been talking about, or bringing a board game to life and getting interactive and just, you know, not just going through the motions. Again, I'm guilty of that. I wanted to go back. You mentioned euchre. So I'm not from the Midwest originally. You guys have heard that we live in the Midwest. Not from the Midwest originally, and I had no idea what euchre was, but I learned very quickly, if you're going to live in the Midwest, you're going to learn what euchre is.
Going back to video games for a second, you know, what is there any family video games you guys play? Like, for example, we play Mario Kart. There's a new one for Switch too. I haven't played it yet though, but the kids have been playing it. But we get into some pretty fierce competitions. You know,
Party.
Mario Party is another big one, and there are usually one of those games will end in and that's just part of the game.
All right. Well, you've already named the two that I was going to say, but thanks for the burn again of saying Switch 2 has a different Mario Kart. I could have, and I should have. Well, and really, it's for Daniel. My son is the one that wants it. Well, we're all going to benefit. But we're a little competitive. I think a lot of people have a competitive nature and spirit. So Mario Kart can get pretty aggressive. And then Mario Party, you know, some of it is like, okay, really what's going on? But, you know, in the mini games, you got to have some skill in the mini games, and the mini games how you can get some coins, and coins is how you buy the star, and you know the rest. So those are definitely two as a family that we will fall back and play consistently.
You brought up another thing about coins and points. So here's another thing that's different today. So back in our day, yes, you had to earn points and earn coins or earn whatever to be able to move up in the game or get better or go buy stuff, buy weaponry, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Today there's a cheating way, and most of the kids want to do that way, and that's called buying them.
I've seen that.
For $25, you know, I think one of my kids got a gift card and spent it 10 seconds Sonic can or whatever it may be. And I guess I just don't understand the spending real money for the game, you know, and that's where I think some of these games are you know, billion-dollar games.
Yeah.
Like, did you say Battle Royale?
No. Yeah.
It's like a billion-dollar game.
I'm sure.
Some of that stuff too, because, you know, these people want to buy stuff to level up and do different things. And I guess I just never understood, like, doing that. It should have always been an earn and not necessarily a buy. But even on PlayStation and Xbox, you can do that. But I think on the phones, that's the time it really, really changed and updated, was when you could do some of those things.
Yep. And just to finish up here, or my thoughts on video games, we've talked about earlier, you don't want to saturate your whole day and your whole life with video games. You don't, you know, or I don't think, that's my opinion, but they can be a good release. They can be a good, you know, family time together. If that's something everyone in the family enjoys doing, you just have to, with everything, you have to do it in moderation, and it can be good, and it can be fun.
I think that's a good place to stop, Justin, for the day on video games. But it was all good information.
All good.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Love for you guys to subscribe, like, check us out. Comment. We'd love to hear your comments too. Also, if there's some topics you want to hear about, you know, we're just two Justins talking, so we're trying to figure out what's next. You know, from a good friend, we heard we should talk about integrity. I think that's a great one. Some of the other ones coming up, we'll probably talk about food.
We did.
Food's a big one. I think we could talk about too, and maybe we'll even tell you how to start a podcast. We thought it was just a flip of a switch, but it was not. There's a lot to learn there. So all right, for Justin and Justin, we are the Justins, and this was This Just In, our podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
This just in, gonna turn it all around. Whoa.